Let me start by telling you a story, not about two people, but about two powerful countries, Israel and Iran. These two nations are always in the news, often seen on opposite sides of world events. But why? What is the reason behind this long-standing conflict? History behind it. To understand their fight, we must go back in time. Israel was created in 1948, after World War II, as a homeland for the Jewish people. Iran, on the other hand, is an old country with thousands of years of history. It was known as Persia in ancient times and became the Islamic Republic of Iran in 1979, after a major revolution. In the early years, Iran and Israel were not enemies. In fact, during the 1950s and 60s, they had friendly ties. Iran even sold oil to Israel, and they worked together on several projects. But everything changed after 1979. The Islamic Revolution of 1979. In 1979, the Shah of Iran, the king, was overthrown, and Ayatollah Khomeini became the new leader. He believed in Islamic values and was strongly against the West, especially America and Israel. Khomeini called Israel a Zionist enemy, and refused to recognize it as a country. Iran also began to support groups that fought against Israel, like Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Palestine. This is where the real conflict started. There are many reasons why Israel and Iran don't get along. Let's look at the main issues. 1. Ideological differences. Israel is a Jewish state with Western values and strong ties to the USA and Europe. Iran is an Islamic republic that wants to lead the Muslim world and fight what it sees as injustice from the West. Iran says it supports the rights of Muslims everywhere, especially in Palestine, where many Arabs feel oppressed by Israel. Iran believes Israel should not exist. 2. Nuclear tensions. One of the biggest fears Israel has is that Iran might build a nuclear bomb. Iran says it only wants nuclear power for peaceful purposes like energy and medicine. But Israel, and many others, don't trust them. In 2015, Iran signed a deal with world powers, including the US, to limit its nuclear program in exchange for lifting economic sanctions. Israel was against this deal, saying it didn't go far enough. In 2018, U.S. President Donald Trump pulled out of the deal. Since then, tensions have grown. Israel has even attacked Iranian nuclear scientists and bombed sites in Syria where Iran is active. 3. Proxy wars. Iran and Israel don't usually fight directly. Instead, they fight indirectly by supporting different groups in the Middle East. Iran supports Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, Shia militias in Iraq and Yemen. Israel sees all these groups as threats. They believe Iran is surrounding them with enemies. So the real fight happens in places like Syria, Lebanon, and Gaza, not inside Israel or Iran themselves. Let's now look at some important events in the Israel-Iran conflict. 1. Lebanon War, 2006. In 2006, Israel fought a war with Hezbollah, a group heavily supported by Iran. The war lasted for about a month, killing many people and damaging Lebanon badly. This war showed how strong Iran's influence had become. 2. Syrian Civil War, 2011-present. When the war in Syria began, Iran sent weapons, money, and fighters to help the Syrian government. Israel didn't like this because Iran was getting closer to its borders. So Israel started bombing Iranian targets in Syria, sometimes every week. 3. Gaza conflicts. Hamas, which controls Gaza, often fires rockets into Israel. Iran supports Hamas with money and weapons. Israel replies with airstrikes. These back-and-forth battles hurt thousands of innocent people, especially in Gaza. 4. Cyber attacks and assassinations. This is a secret war that most people don't see. Both sides have used cyber attacks to damage each other. Israel is believed to have launched the Stuxnet virus that slowed down Iran's nuclear program. Iran has also attacked Israeli websites and systems. Also, several Iranian nuclear scientists have been killed. Israel is blamed for these killings, though they never officially admit it. In the last few years, the conflict between Israel and Iran has become more dangerous. They have not gone to full war, but the tension has increased a lot. Shadow war in Syria and Lebanon. Israel has carried out hundreds of airstrikes in Syria, targeting Iranian weapons and military bases. These strikes often happen quietly, but they are very serious. Iran continues to send weapons to Hezbollah in Lebanon, which worries Israel. In return, Israel has bombed weapons convoys and storage sites. This is a shadow war, a war that is not openly declared, but both sides are fighting in secret or through other groups. 2. Gaza conflicts, 2021-2023. In May 2021 and again in 2023, there were major battles between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. Hamas fired thousands of rockets, and Israel responded with airstrikes. Iran praised Hamas and said it would always support the Palestinian cause. Iran even tried to send money and weapons to help them. Israel blamed Iran for fueling the conflict. 3. Nuclear program tensions. Iran has restarted parts of its nuclear program, enriching uranium at higher levels than before. This made Israel and Western countries very worried. Israel's leaders have said they will not allow Iran to build a nuclear bomb. Some Israeli generals have even said they are ready to strike Iran directly if needed. This brings the region close to a real war. 4. Assassinations and spy operations. In recent years, several Iranian officials and scientists have been killed inside Iran. Israel is believed to be behind these attacks. One big event was the killing of Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, a top Iranian nuclear scientist, in 2020. He was shot in broad daylight near Tehran. Iran blamed Israel. Israel has also caught Iranian agents planning attacks against Israelis in other countries like Turkey and Cyprus. The conflict between Israel and Iran is not just between these two nations. Many other countries are involved, directly or indirectly. 1. The United States. The U.S. is Israel's strongest ally. It gives billions of dollars in military aid and shares intelligence. The U.S. and Israel often work together to counter Iran's influence. Under President Trump, the U.S. pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal in 2018. Under President Biden, the U.S. tried to restart the deal, but it hasn't worked so far. Iran sees the U.S. as a main enemy, especially because of its support for Israel and the sanctions on Iran's economy. 2. Russia. Russia has strong ties with Iran, especially in Syria. Both countries support Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Russia does not support Israel directly, but it allows Israel to carry out airstrikes in Syria as long as they don't hit Russian forces. So, Russia plays a careful balancing game. 3. Saudi Arabia and Gulf states. Saudi Arabia and other Gulf countries like the UAE and Bahrain also fear Iran's power. That's why some of them are now making peace with Israel. In 2020, the Abraham Accords brought peace deals between Israel and UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, and Sudan. This made Iran angry because it sees these deals as a threat to Muslim unity. 4. China. China has good relations with both Israel and Iran. It wants peace in the Middle East to protect its trade. In 2023, China helped restore diplomatic relations between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Many saw this as a big moment of hope. Now, the big question is, can Israel and Iran ever live in peace? It's very difficult, but not impossible. What makes peace hard? 1. Iran refuses to recognize Israel as a country. 2. Iran supports groups that attack Israel. 3. Israel threatens to bomb Iran's nuclear sites. 4. Both sides see each other as enemies, not partners. There is a deep lack of trust between them. What could bring peace? 1. A new nuclear deal that gives Iran relief from sanctions and stops its nuclear program peacefully. 2. A possible change in leadership in Iran or Israel, where leaders may choose dialogue instead of war. 3. Pressure from the world to stop the fighting and focus on peace. 4. Economic needs. Iran's economy is in trouble. Peace could bring investment and jobs. Even small steps like indirect talks, prisoner exchanges, or ceasefires in Gaza can build trust. But peace will take time, courage, and honesty from both sides. Let's now look at some possible future scenarios in the Israel-Iran conflict. 1. A direct war. This is the worst-case scenario. If Iran builds a nuclear bomb, Israel might try to attack Iran directly. This could lead to a full-scale war in the Middle East. Other countries like the US, Saudi Arabia, and Lebanon could get involved. Thousands of lives could be lost. 2. A Cold War. The current situation might continue for years, a kind of Cold War, with both sides fighting secretly or through other groups, without full war. This would still cause pain and fear for many people, especially in Syria, Lebanon, and Gaza. 3. A new peace deal. If both countries decide to talk instead of fight, maybe with help from other nations, we could see a new beginning. This would require a lot of trust, slow progress, and the will to forgive. But it's not impossible. When we talk about Israel and Iran, we often hear words like war, bombs, hatred, and fear. But behind these words are real people, families, children, teachers, workers, who just want to live in peace. Imagine if Iranian children could go to school without hearing sirens or bombs. Israeli families could sleep peacefully without worrying about rocket attacks. The Middle East could become a place of peace, trade, and friendship. It may sound like a dream, but all big changes start with a small hope. A message to the future. If leaders from both sides, and people like you and me, start to believe in dialogue instead of war, in understanding instead of hate, then maybe one day we will hear a different kind of news. Not about attacks or assassinations, but about peace talks, cooperation, and a better life for everyone. Conclusion. The conflict between Israel and Iran is one of the most dangerous in the world today. It is about religion, politics, power, fear, and history. But it is also about choices. Every country has a choice, to build weapons or build peace. Israel and Iran have the power to destroy, but they also have the power to heal. Let us hope they choose the second path.